Merry Christmas from Nathan Bills.
All righty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef back here with another 10-second podcast. This week, we're going to take a look back at the week that went down. Had some interesting stuff come up that I think both players and hosts can learn from. We have a guest on the show. Bill Adams is back. We're going to talk about some new updates that have happened in the speed quizzing software, stuff that's been going on, and we're going to talk shop a little bit and go through a bunch of different details. We'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. This is the 10-second podcast. We'll see you in 10.
10. 5.
'All righty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef back here, guys. It's good to be back for the second week in a row. I think we're on a little bit of a run here. This is good. This is really good, to tell you the truth. And the feedback with the video podcast portion has been pretty good. I mean, most of you have been checking it out on YouTube, and I think we're like 2-1 with views on the video version versus the audio version. So that's pretty great. We're going to go ahead and bring in our guest right here. We got Bill Adams joining us. Bill, welcome. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? It's been a while since we've done this. It's been well over. It's been almost 2 years since we've done an episode of this together.
I've been running around. I'm finally in an office, not in my kitchen table. So
that's nice. That's very nice. I'm still in the basement with some retired DJ lights. So you know, I'm still living my best life. Man, I'll tell you, this week we saw some stuff go down with the a new version of the speed quizzing host software, and like always, there's bumps in the road. You know, every time that there's some kind of an update, be it the player app or the host software itself, people kind of lose their minds. And I had to do some testing myself to make sure things were going to work for an event I've been promoting this weekend. At my brunch event, I was planning on doing a music round. So Wednesday, I tried out a music round. It worked with no problem. And then Thursday morning, there was a brand new version to fix a couple of issues that had popped up. And so I had to do another music round on Thursday last night to make sure to check it. But have you run into any issues?
I ran 5-2-3 the other night, and it was the only issue I had was, for some odd reason, I had about 20 teams logged in, and then all of a sudden, all the new teams couldn't log in. But I think what was happening was I was trying to fix someone's team name with other teams that logged in. It just restarting the software, like we always say, cleared it out. I know someone else had, I think Lou DeMarco had a little bit of issue last night too, where his locked up and he doesn't know what it was. It's so hard to pinpoint. Like, if it's not happening to everybody, it's like, exactly. So what's the corresponding issue here? Like, exactly.
It's nice if you can whittle it down to like a specific device. Like, if you could say, yeah, it's happening to the Android devices or it's happening to the Apple devices or something like that, but you can't always do that. It's tricky that way.
And it seems like they've sped up a bunch of stuff so that these what we call lower spec machines should be able to run it easier and faster and have less bogs, and a few fixes for like small stuff that could cause issues in the middle of a game. But
yeah, it's tough. It's like, and I know the goal obviously is like having those, like you said, lower spec machines be able to handle larger amounts of connections. So, you're talking like 50 to 70 plus, like in that window. It's like anything. It's helpful if you're planning, if you're that ambitious where you think you're going to take on the world. It's one of those things where you for sure want to have a decent machine running the host software for sure. While the router does a lot of the heavy lifting, there's still processing that has to happen on the side. And I don't know about all other hosts, but I'm always running a DJ program on my laptop and speed quizzing and going back and forth between the two with like background music and samples and stuff. So like, it helps to kind of put a little bit into it, but it's kind of
because I use OBS and because I have my own stuff that I like to do. And
you even got more going on.
Yeah. You need a little bit more of a computer. If on the new Mac M3s, M4s, you're fine video wise. But if I'm telling anybody to buy something for speed quizzing, if they're going to use software, use our software, is to like just make sure you get a machine with a dedicated video card with Windows.
That's a big deal. Yep.
Just because it helps you in the long run keep everything running smoothly.
Mhm.
Because video is going to be the feature that kind of locks things up occasionally when you're having scoreboard issues or stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just the processor is being used for everything else.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. So let's do this. Why don't we kind of go through the week as far as like our own trivia shows and stuff, talk about that, because I've really been looking forward to having some feedback about this, because one of the goals with this podcast is I want it to be obviously helpful for the hosts, but I want it also to be good for the players too, to give them a little bit of insight as to how these games work and get and kind of like share this with their friends so we can get more people out playing and kind of grow speed quizzing across the entire country. So we'll be right back. We're going to talk shop. Alrighty, guys. Now, this is like the first real like segment of the show where we're talking about our weeks here. We're going to call it the Talk Shop section. Bill, do you have anything that stands out from like this last week that was interesting as far as trivia antics or anything?
Not really any antics. I just had a busy week. I mean, it was my only one game this week since I lost one of my venues.
That's
dealing with some other stuff. Nothing really crazy. I mean, it's just holiday week, so we just kind of do fun stuff, like make them all dress up in their holiday attire. I got to wear my Mike Tyson ugly ass sweater holiday shirt.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And just kind of been running around and finalizing winter stuff and working on some new projects.
Yeah, I don't really do a lot for like making like people dressing up or there was a short time where that was like the big trend where I was like, show up in your ugly sweater, you'll get X amount of points. But I find that like there's such a split with people that want to take part in it and people that don't. And it's just like, I don't know. And like this year I felt like Christmas and everything just like zoomed right up. Like it was crazy.
Because I do a weekly bonus for all my venues where it's just like a 25-point bonus question for all the stuff. And I just don't do a bonus this week or whatever, the closest one to Christmas, and say, hey, here you guys go, just dress up. And I let them like decorate their tables as well and stuff. So then each team gets, as long as one person has some sort of festive something or whatever, so green or red, 25 points. But then I give one team will get 75 points. That's the best team. I had teams show up with little lighted Christmas trees and they put everything on their stuff. Some people take it. I was like, hey, those are normally the people that want to just have more fun with it. So
yeah, exactly.
I add silly stuff in.
I think that's the thing. You got there's a spread. You know, there's certain people that want to just run with it and go with it, and then there's other people that. But I don't know. I just feel like with the calendar, like the holidays just zoomed so fast. Like I can't believe tomorrow's the solstice, which is great. Which is great news because that means now we're going to start going the other way with the sunlight. You know, it's going to be a long way to get there, but hey, we're going to get there. Longest night of the year happens tomorrow, so that'll be pretty crazy. I had a lot of weird shit go on this week. Not like anything bad necessarily, just interesting stuff. So my Sunday night game, we'll start there. I had a question come up. You know, it was packed on Sunday, and the place where I'm at on Sunday is a little bit more of a higher end restaurant. Nice place. And I noticed that there was this huge table set off to the side, and I was like, you guys seating like a big party over here? Are they here for trivia? And they were like, yeah, we're not sure if they're here for trivia. And that's one of the hurdles I think I have to jump through with some of these venues, especially in a place like where I am on Sunday evening, where they recommend reservations so highly, is they sometimes place the trivia players in a far off part from where I am, where if they put them closer to me, I could turn down, you know? Where if like the people who weren't playing trivia were against the far wall, I wouldn't have to try to make sure that the back end can hear me. So it would be a little bit more helpful for that. But what was interesting about this table is there were two adults and 7 children between the ages of like, I'd say like 8 or 9 to like maybe 17, you know, something like that. And I got to a question mid-round, first round, mid-round of round one. And it was, you know what, man? I'm going to call it up and read it for you because it's fucking hilarious. But I like the explicit, material. I like to push the envelope a little bit. Not everybody is comfortable with that. But the question is this. I don't know if you've ever had this one, Bill, because in an article in Men's Health magazine, how did the Vegan Society reply when asked if swallowing the sperm of a sexual partner was vegan friendly? Was it A, that vegans must not swallow, or B, that it's okay to swallow if everyone's a consenting adult? What do you think?
B.
It is B. Yeah, it is B. That's how they went with it. I gotta say, first off, it's a hilarious question, and I did actually end up reading it on Tuesday, my next game, because I'm like, I'm not letting this thing go to waste. It's too good. Mm-hmm. But I had I saw this table come in and they're getting seated and everything. I see this question come up and I'm like, no way am I reading that here. Even if like mom and dad are like totally cool with whatever and they don't care about language. And maybe they even knew they did play trivia, by the way. They did log in and connect and they had a good time. They even did Drinko, which is great. But I didn't want to make their kids feel that awkward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with their parents, like that is just a mess. So I just skipped the question. No one was even the wiser. I'm like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and skip that one. That's not appropriate. And I move on. And I famously don't proofread my games. So when people are just like, the answers, we see this in the groups all the time. People are just like, oh, I had this question. It was terribly offensive. And, people get confused about just skipping a question, Yeah. And I'm doing that from a perspective of like, I don't even proofread it because I want my reaction to what's on the screen to be genuine, to be fresh. Like the only thing I usually look at is I'll check the quiz pack to make sure nothing's funky pronunciation wise with like the first question or two. Other than that, I'm like, I'm just going to let it go. And, it's just one of those things. So you can skip the question and avoid a situation. Now, like I said, Tuesday, I actually used that keypad round for my last round on Tuesday night because the I have teams in there with team names like Diddy Did It. I had a team called one that plays often, Barry McCockiner, a bunch of different teams that just kind of get a little bit crazy. And I used it and it went great. It was awesome, but it's like, it was just one of those things where like, as a host, just skip the question. If round number one has 19 questions, it's whatever. If you really have to make it 20 for some other reason, use another quiz pack. Just open something up and use one quiz pack. It's not going to, the software is built for that.
I did one on, which is fine for my venue when I did it, but I did, I don't know if it'll let me do it or not. Well, let me share the.
Yeah, you can share it. Hit the present button on the bottom.
A window. This one right here. Do you see that? Or
I do. There we go.
It was just name. I did mostly Santa round.
Yep.
I go, who is this dressed as Santa? Because the younger kids won't get it, but all the adults laugh.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Oh my God, dude. Yes. Yes, dude. That is so good.
And all the kids are like, I don't get it. And I was like, yeah, you will get it someday.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad got it. That's right.
Yeah.
The freaking hedgehog himself.
And there was a team that won, and it was one guy with like 4 girls. And all the girls were like, I don't know who it is. And the guy's like,
I know who it is.
Oh, I don't know who it is either. Just like, well, I don't know. And it's like playing dumb, like, yeah, we know you know who it is.
It's like, maybe it's R. Was this this is a first letter question? Nice.
Yeah, just first letter. Yeah, first letter, first
nice.
name. And I was like, I don't think I'd added anything else in there.
I don't think that he's as popular as he once was.
No, he isn't. But it's just like.
But if you're of a particular age,
correct.
If you're of that age, fucking Ron Jeremy, that's fucking great, man.
Yeah. And everyone was like, I don't get it. Well, I also added. I think it's hilarious when you ask a question and you give them the answer.
Oh my God.
And they don't like this one. I go, Canada has given what postal code comprised of 3 letters and 3 numbers to all letters addressed to Santa Claus? And it's like H0H0H0, B3LLS1, D4SH3R, or BRR. Do you know like only 4 teams guessed H0H0H0? And I go, it literally says 3 letters, 3 numbers.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The other ones don't have. The other ones don't have 3 numbers.
My other favorite is when a team will buzz in, or a team will like anagram question. Oh my God. I often say this when we have a question about anagrams. I'll say to the crowd, I'll say, okay, so just to clarify, an anagram is a word or a phrase where the letters contained within it can be recreated, moved around to make a totally different word or phrase. And then they'll say, okay. And then I've actually had to add, so what that means is
the answer will be one of the letters in that word or phrase.
And you're just like,
I have to say this stuff all the time. I had one a couple weeks ago, and I was so surprised that nobody knew. They didn't know what it was like. What word synonymous with birds does Google call their personal home assistant or whatever? And only a couple people got it, like Nest. And they're like, that's not Nest. They go, that's not what synonymous means. And I go, what do you mean that's not what synonymous means? Well, synonymous means it's a word that like another word, but like the same thing. And I'm like, well, it also means linked to, or generally knowledge linked to that. And they're like, exactly. No, it doesn't. And I was like, yes, it absolutely does. Synonymously. Like Michael Jackson is synonymously known for making hit music. You know what I mean? That's what the word would mean. I could have said something else, but I didn't.
I know you could have, and I was about to. Holy shit.
Ron Jeremy, synonymous.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I had done a lot with trying to make sometimes you're going so fast that you got to throw a little bit of a helping hand out there to give some people something. So this is another thing that came up on Tuesday. So on my Tuesday night is interesting, and I'm curious to see if you have a similar situation. So are you doing any kind of like promotional specials or anything with like beer or liquor distributors where you're doing like swag or a special on a certain brand or anything?
With the venues just normally get like the local beer companies to bring stuff in or whatever. I mean, we get stuff every once in a while, but it used to be years ago. The beer companies used to bring in so much more stuff. Now they've cut their limits down on what they do because.
So I have an interesting situation with this one, and I have one of my venues has an amazing staff, an amazing management team, and they have partnered with one of the distributors to bring on a brand, and the brand's Neutral, right? They wanted to do some kind of a partnership with Neutral, and they're like, yeah, you promote get such and such, and this is what bothers me is that somewhere along the line, without anybody talking to me about it, they were like, oh, we can do you'll get extra points if you order a Neutral. And I'm like, we'll do that till it's a pain in the ass. I go, or till it affects the game negatively. I go, because I don't want to do that and have somebody get pissed because they're like, oh, somebody's winning. Well, I'm seeing as this plays out, because what it is it gets down to advertising dollars. Like there's advertising money that comes in from the brand that goes to the venue so that they can do more to promote themselves, which is fantastic. But like if it interferes with the game, it's counterproductive, because the people that are going to come there and play, they're going to eat and drink something. It might not be that brand. They don't need that pressure to go and buy this. But I had this situation that came up, and this happened multiple times. And after seeing it now going on for the last, it's been about 3 months. And I'll be honest with you, this distributor has made promises about, we're going to have all these awesome prizes and blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. We've had nothing really of any real value to give away. So it's like I feel like they're coming up very short, but every week I'm having to play the same. Like it works in the corner of people that want to drink that brand.
Correct.
So they're getting 40, and I put a cap on it. I'm smart about it. You get 10 points per with a cap at 4 per team. So it's a maximum of 40 points. There's over
Well, I
900
never
points
understood.
in a game.
I never understood. And it never made sense to me. Some guys
Yep.
used to do, I think they still do. You got points for the size of your bar tab at the end of the night. And I go,
At
well, that's
least-
just,
At
that's
least
like,
that's fair.
yeah. Well, I mean,
You know,
it is and it isn't, because if I want to go spend $900 at the bar, I could buy my way to the top. You know what I mean?
yeah.
The bar
You could,
likes it,
You could.
but the players don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's not even so much that. When I say it's fair, is that there are people who come out and play speed quizzing with me that don't drink. That they'll go and they'll order food, they'll order soft drinks, but they don't drink for one reason or another. Or maybe they just don't drink during the week. Like that's their thing, you know? But like on a Wednesday, I'm not going to go out and crush 6 beers at the bar, you know?
But I mean, I do have
So-
teams that come in and just some don't drink. Though that's another thing. Some
Yeah.
don't drink.
Yeah. And then it's like, you know, I get it. Like if you want to do some kind of, I've heard people doing that before, and I've even made the suggestion. I was like, if you
I
want to give
wonder-
away points for spending money, do it that way.
Yeah.
I've even told them, I go, if you want to make like a specialty cocktail, like that's like a one game only, but to have this going on over months and months and months, and it only really benefiting a small number of teams, you know. And I'll explain what happened on Tuesday. And this is what really bothered me is so I was told by management that the staff was going to get all the information and tell me what teams ordered what. The only real like rule that I have is that I tell people by the middle of round 3, I need all that information in. And there's a couple of teams that like to do this thing because in the way I run my game in round number 1, you can fast track all the way up, all the way through round 1. You can fast track if you do some bullshit everybody in round number 2. And in the third round, there are only 4 instances where a team can fast track. Every 5th question is an opportunity to fast track. So what'll happen is these teams are like, okay, so I have to order 4 neutrals. I'm obviously going to start in round number 1, and they'll wait to tell their server their team name or whatever until they get to that third round to avoid a fast track. So I'm like, okay, already trying to manipulate it to work in your favor. So this is what happened on Tuesday. I got to back up. So the server, no fault of her own, was busy. It was a busy Tuesday night. This team had said at like question 9 or 10 or something like that, hey, this is my 4th neutral. I'm team such and such. Go, tell Bobby. And they got busy doing something else, probably doing
their job.
And then they come over and tell me at question 19 that this team all of a sudden got 40 points. And I'm like, that's after question 10. I can't do it. Now, full disclosure here. It wouldn't have affected the scoreboard at all. Like he wouldn't have placed any higher or anything like that. But of course, this individual was like, hey, did you add my points? And I was like, no, she only told me at question 19. And he's like, oh, come on, man. It's just, I've heard this before, like other teams that have played for a while, they think because they play with me for a while, like somehow I'm going to bend the rules for them in one way or another, And I'm like, and I told him, I was like, look, dude, I go, how about we just stop with the neutral shit? At least the points. They want to do promotions. They want to sponsor things. I'll say every single round is brought to you by that brand. That's fine. But really what the distributor's trying to do is force the hand of the player to drink that product. And it's not working. It's not. I'm not doing anything to fight it. I'm still showing up and running the things on the screen and on the live screen. And I'm running things and I'm making announcements that, hey, tonight's game is brought to you by Neutral. I'm doing my part, but they're not selling the monstrous amount of product that they are. So why are we holding these customers essentially hostage to this brand if they want to get those extra points? If they're not doing that well, and like that distributor has multiple other brands there. So like, what are they doing? They're like cutting off their hand to spite their foot type situation, I'm like, that's crazy. So I made the suggestion. I was like, we could do it. He's like, oh, I know you'd love that. So then he goes, I'm going to bring in a roll of raffle tickets. I was like, you don't have to. They have them here. I go, this is not an issue of, and there's another side of this too. And I like your opinion. But I go, they have raffle tickets here for when they give away like a prize, if you're drinking whatever brand. I'm like, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to get those. The tickets will be given from the server to the player. The player has the responsibility to get to question 10 and get them to me. That's on them, you know? So I'm like, I don't mind doing that. That's fine.
Yeah.
My biggest issue is this. I was recently keyed in from somebody in the alcohol industry locally that my name specifically, not just speed quizzing, has been all over the place. And it has to do with a handful of, like, another one of my venues. They do craft brewery promos and things almost every week. I mean, we've had dispensaries in there. We've had cider brands in there. We've had large scale brands in there, small micro brands, super local stuff. And they come in and it's a packed house. And they're like, holy shit, this is great. And they look forward to getting their brand out there, doing samples. And what I do over there is I don't offer them any points. Like, initially they brought that up and I shot that down immediately. I was like, no. You don't need to do that. I was like, you really don't. I go, have them come in with a few prizes. We'll add them in tandem to whatever the other prizes are. So, you know, now you might get like a lawn chair or a grill from one of those brands, along with the gift card from the establishment. But I recently got clued in that, like, my name's been brought up a lot and people look forward to coming and doing their promo nights there. And I should do something with these brands across all of my locations, because a lot of these brands are in all of them, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're all over the place. So why not do it that way? But instead they're cutting me out. So a part of me is a little bit salty about that, because, you know, it's my promotional efforts and my work to the game that gets brought in. So I'm a little bit like, I'm not putting any effort in if I'm not getting any real piece of the pie, because it's not like I'm charging them anymore for this, you know, or anybody anymore for this.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like I'm a little bit torn, but like, what's your take on that kind of stuff?
If I'm not getting paid, I mean, if a venue goes, hey, so and so is going to be the sponsor for this month, I go, okay. Well, I'll put an ad up and I'll say something at the game and tell them what to do. I mean, but I'm not running around table to table telling everyone to buy so and so's alcohol or whatever. And I go, and then if you want me to advertise it, and I go, just like anybody else, they're not going to advertise me.
I need a piece of the pie. I need something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I go, I'm at a venue. I'm at a venue that they buy your product. Yeah.
Well, and the majority of the people that do come in, they're going to buy a product, what they prefer to purchase. Putting additional pressure on them to purchase something else. I actually had this really fantastic idea with my Tuesday venue. And I had suggested, I was like, look, dude, what about this? I go, you want to put pressure on people to buy more product. I go, give me something unique, not like a blanket. We're going to do this one brand until the end of time. Because I'm pretty sure I'm pulling the plug on it in 2025. It's done. And I'm going to have in my agreements that I send out, I'm going to update everybody. And in there, it's going to say, if you want to have sponsored events by brands or anything like that, this is what I will do. And it will not be a point bonus in the game. That brand is not going to interfere at the game. But I did have this great idea where I said, I'll give you an example, like a National Tequila Day. I went in one day and the bartender at that bar was like, hey, today's National Tequila Day. Are you doing anything special for it? I was like, yes, I am. And using the speed quizzing, like live screen creation and handset device creation, I created a slide that was like, hey, you're going to get 10 points. Same deal. 10 points for a tequila drink. It could be a drink. It could be a shot. It could be whatever. We did the same thing on Red Wine Day. That night got weird because a lot of people were throwing back like 4 glasses of wine that aren't regular wine drinkers. And that was hilarious.
What about tequila night?
Well, tequila night was a party, dude. It was great. It was great. I was celebrating. I'm a tequila guy, though. I love tequila. And so we're like, okay, we're going to do our thing and, whatever. And it worked out great. But it was great for that one night. Nobody got pissed. It was just like, oh, yeah, I don't drink on these nights. Be like, okay, maybe buy a round for these guys and then you're good. But the pressure wasn't there for the ongoing weeks in the future. I made the suggestion to this one manager. I was like, hey, what if you just picked a cocktail from your specialty menu? Could be something already on there. You don't have to create anything crazy or anything like that, but give me a highlight and then do a counterpart that's a mocktail. So that if you order the featured cocktail or the featured mocktail, you could get X amount of points. You know, I go, I would be game to do that. Have that run for the month of whatever, and then change it up. You know, it'll get people trying some different stuff, especially like one of my venues. I mentioned it in the last episode. That they have this winter cocktail menu that is freaking awesome. I've had 3 of them so far in the last 2 weeks, and they've all been fantastic. So let's put something like that on a feature, you know, and kind of show off, because it's like people they'll try it, and they'll especially try it if they can get points for it. But this way, it's not like this one blanket like, well, if you drink neutrals, you should definitely play here.
Yeah,
You know, it's just one of those things, man. So that was
yeah. So yeah, I've never been big on the whole forcing them to buy stuff to play, but like I do add other things in there too. But like I do my you were saying earlier about the bonus points or whatever, and put it on them.
Yep.
I always give my last place team a holding the rear award.
Oh yeah, I've
And
heard about this.
They get 50 points for their next game. Well, you have to have it in before we start the game,
Mhm.
and you can't double down. So people will always be like, wait till the end of the game. Some people will be like, hey, can I use it now? And I'm like, no, you already started the game. You have to make that decision at the beginning. Oh, but can I use a few of them together? I go, nope. I don't care if you got 100 of them. You can play 100 games with a 50-point head start.
Yeah.
So, and I also added up.
That's reasonable, man. That's totally reasonable.
I also started not allowing the team that won the week before can't get the online bonus either. Like the team that got first place last week can't come into the venue this week and get the 25 bonus points that everyone else got. I said, yeah, you guys get a handicap for this week, just that 1 week.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Just to help them.
My next little question here is this. I'm curious if you've ever seen this. I'm going to show you a picture. All right. I'm going to share this screen. And I want to know what yeah, there we go. This one right here. So, do you see this part of the picture where that girl is looking at those 10 things?
Hair clips, yeah, whatever those are.
All right, you called them a hair clip. That's perfect. Okay. So I had a question, and this was an interesting one that had gone down. I had a question come up yesterday, and it was made a question of round number 1, and I saw it, and immediately, like I said, I don't proofread this stuff. And I even said in the microphone, I was like, guys, I don't love this question because I know that it's going to be split. There's going to be different words. And I go, I'm just going to go for it. We'll see what happens. So this is kind of awesome. So I asked the question, and like 4 teams maybe said H, and the rest of them were all putting B for barrette, right?
Yeah.
Or barrette.
Yeah, I've always known it as a bar, but I always thought a barrette was like the plastic snap togethers, but maybe those are a spring barrette or something.
You know, that's the thing. I don't know. But so what I did was I Googled hair clip, and that was the first thing that came up. So I was like, okay, I'm going to accept it because I've heard of them called hair clips before. But both like my so this is what happened. There was a team after this went down. I was like, yeah, I don't like that. And I saw her. She just had this face that was facing, you know, and I'm like, uh-oh. She's like, I think we got that one wrong. I'm like, I'm going to hear about it later. Now, I have been taking my GoPro with me. And just to get like B-roll for this, I've been going and recording stuff and, you know, just getting little clips. And the way I do it is usually like round number 2, I'll start recording and I record the entire show from then on out. Like once people are warmed up, I go round number 2. I do the second and third rounds. Drinko, I try to get in there, everything. And I had a so at the end of the night I go up to the bar and I'm handing out prizes, and this girl's team had come in third, so I go and I give them their gift card and everything, and she's like, this is so good, I'm so glad we came in here like at the start the week previous. They're really late, and she's like, you know, we did pretty good. I was like, you guys did fantastic. I was like, some of the teams in here are just, they're animals when it comes to trivia. Like they're just absolute beasts. And I was like, you held your own the entire game. You didn't leave the top 3 once you got in there. So we're talking. She's like, yeah, the only issue was, and I'm like, here we go. She goes, was that one question about the hair clip. And we go back and forth, and I go, I understand. And I said, and I'll be honest with you. I go, I am not a hard ass trivia host. I'm really not. I'm fair. Like, I have a couple of rules, like, don't interrupt the game to whine about points. And I'm like, I saw you motioning, and you didn't like say anything or anything. So I just let go. But I go, in between rounds, I go, I added 5 points for everybody who got it wrong, as if they took a second guess and got H. And she's like, oh, okay. But I could tell she still just wanted to be right. Sometimes it's not about the points. You know what I mean? Like, they just want to be right, And I realized as I walked away after having this conversation with her,
the GoPro was recording the whole thing.
Yeah. So if it's here, if the camera footage, is decent, we're going to cut to it right now. And if it's not, we're just going to keep on going. So, I just thought it was interesting. But like, how do you handle that kind of stuff?
I just go, I pretty much on this microphone go, cool. Don't care.
And this was after the game. Like, I was handing out the prizes.
Yeah. I don't know if I can put this in or not. Like, I mean, I have all my drops. So, you've seen some of my drops. Like, I've had, if someone's like giving me a hard time about something.
Oh, like the audio stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I have some audio video drops. Let me see if I can find one real quick. Hold on. And I basically just let everyone laugh at them.
Yep.
I find that is the best way. And for some reason, it makes them go, all right, we shouldn't have said anything.
I don't handle those things as well. I handle them like a comedian who's being heckled. Correct. When it's during the game. I try to shut it down, and I oftentimes, because I get fired up. And there are teams, and yes, Kara, I'm talking about you. But there are teams that will come out and play that are just like, oh, Bobby's getting fired up. There was a game one night where I was being stressed between 2 events. I had done a college event and then was going to my regular event. And there happened to be like on this night, my regular event was in a restaurant that gets just packed. It is packed. And there happened to be like a group of like, old college friends, a bunch of moms that had gotten together, haven't seen each other in forever. And they're just going out for drinkies, drinky poos and stuff, having a good time. But again, it was everybody else's problem. Like, there was a room full of people there to play trivia. And like, even the staff at this time was just like, hey, can you play some like really loud, obnoxious metal to like get them out of here? And I was like,
you got it.
So I was like, all right, no sweat. So, out came
here comes some Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah, exactly. I think I played, what was it? Rivers of Nile was one of them that I dove into. Suffocation, things like that.
So like, when someone says something dumb and they just start arguing, and I know they're being dumb, I like to drop this one with your pan flute.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if it'll
on here.
And everyone just starts laughing. Or now the new one I'll show is from, I can't remember the show name, but I'll play this one when they are like, you're wrong.
Hold on.
So this is the other one I'll do if they all say like, somebody's like, you're wrong. I like doing this one now too.
Oh, hold on. Here we go.
About that? You sure about that? That's why? You sure it wasn't because after the thing that happened to me, no one could look at me without dying laughing? You sure about that? You sure about that's not why?
I just love throwing stupid stuff out there, and they're just they just take it. They run with it.
That's awesome,
like,
dude.
I don't know if I had a I don't know if I have a folder in here called that.
Oh, that is just freaking magical, dude. Oh, Yeah, I tend to like just lay into people, and that's where I'll start like, well, maybe you should watch out, before you interrupt everybody trying to have a good time, why don't you just shut the fuck up or whatever. And I'll get a little bit testy with people. But it's like so there's on this one night, it was like, oh yeah, can you play this music or whatever? And I could see there were new teams that were like kind of tucked off in the back, but nearby this one table. And dude, they were loud as hell. They were just so unbelievably painfully loud. And I could tell by the looks on the people's faces over in the corner that their experience coming out to trivia was not what they had anticipated. Like they were having an effect, which sucked. So I went to, we wrapped the round up and everything. And then these girls come over and they're like, hey, can you play some songs that we can dance to? We want to dance. And I was like, no, I can't. I go, I'm not taking requests. I said, I'm here to host a game show. And I said, everybody in here is here to play this game show. So I'm like, I apologize, but it is what it is. I got this fucking look. And of course, then they like tried to be loud. And so they have 2 questions into the second round or whatever. And I go, guys, hold on a second. I go, I got to know by a round of applause. I go, are you guys okay with me continuing the game as is, or should I get security just to remove these cackling bitches over here? What's the deal? I go, make some noise if you want to let them stay. Not anybody made any noise. Crickets. Oh, unbelievable. I was like, we get rid of them. And then that's what it was. They were just asked like, hey, you guys aren't even ordering drinks from this bar. Like you're ordering drinks from our downstairs cocktail lounge. Go down there. And that's ultimately what they did. But I was like, they saw a crowd gathering and they wanted to be part of the action. And I'm like, oh my God. So, yeah, it's just like I'm one of those folks where like I don't interrupt the game. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily just about me, but it's about the other players too. They're there, and maybe they've got a fucking sitter. You know what I mean? I try to get people out on time. You know?
I try to get my games done the best way I can and fast. Like I don't. I mean, I don't know about you, but I find anything over, I think 90 minutes is kind of that sweet spot.
I think it's the best. Yeah.
Because people aren't they don't get bored. That's the hard part. When you start to lose them, that's when they start getting to be a pain. And you're not trying to, I mean, if you can keep them entertained for 2 hours, that's fine. But I'm just not there to be a show pony.
Yeah. I'm going to give you the best show I can for the right amount of time.
Correct. I'm downloading another one. I gotta show you. when people say the stupidest things, when people say stupid stuff, this is the other one. I will once I get it to load up here.
I'm gonna kick some of these.
Yeah, I didn't know how you delete them in there, but
it's all good. Oh, Jesus. Sorry, Bill. You're going to have to jump back in. Oh, my goodness. The other thing that I did this week that was interesting was I featured a brand new Drinko drink that I added to the regular classic Drinko wheel called a Saucy Mary. And a Saucy Mary is it's a riff on a Bloody Mary, I suppose. It's vodka with barbecue sauce. And after that's shaken, there's ice or Sprite added for a little bit of brightness. My apologies. I didn't realize I was trying to remove those videos and it booted you as well.
Yeah, I'm back. Well, so this is the other one. When someone says something super dumb, it brings me back to like the old Dave Chappelle days.
Oh,
and the video clip.
Yeah. I think I know where you're going with this.
This is the one I play.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I have a classic sound effect that I like to use when people do stupid stuff. Like when people do really dumb shit, I like to go.
Yeah, I'll do that one.
That's a good one. Oh my God! Oh, you
the other one
everything.
I like. Yeah, you ruined everything. The one I like, I drop a lot too. Is if it's if it's a group of normally if it's a group of women running their mouth, I'll be like, why is she still talking? Bobby from Hank Hill.
King of the Hill, yes.
Yeah. Why is she still talking?
That's good.
Or the other one is when people like to argue about something, it's the great old Peter Griffin. Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Yeah, that's a home run. That is probably one of the favorites.
And once you cap them, you're like, hey, shut up.
This is a classic too. This is good to have because I hold on to a lot of like audio samples.
Using crack and cocaine to get high. That's what you say.
Stop playing.
Or when this is another one of my favorites. When I do something in my buzzing round called the Balderdash bonus, and when somebody gets a fast track to first place because they gave an incorrect answer, but everybody agreed, I go.
It's raining bullshit tonight. It's raining bullshit tonight. So go outside.
It's so good.
and go
I don't get to hear it.
Oh, you're not hearing it? That's too bad. I'm gonna have to edit these in after in post.
Yeah, it could have been my setup. Who knows?
No, it's probably just StreamYard. We're learning here. You know, we're learning here. It's an imperfect system, but yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm like, you know, it's kind of funny the way that that these games work, you know, and you have so many different personalities. You know, how many games do you host in a week now, Bill?
Traditionally 3.
Yep.
I'm doing 3 normally.
Yep.
Depending on the week, 4. I have a college I do every other week or something, and then traditionally my Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Traditionally, holiday season's a little odd, but
I am doing anywhere from like 5 to 7. I'm averaging now like about 6 most of the day. 5 to 6 most weeks. I'm probably going to be adding a 7th back in there eventually. You and I had talked a little bit about doing like our own events at like separate venues and like, you know, doing like an admission for it type thing. I'm going to be factoring that in there. But like I bring up the multiple games because I think if you do just more than one, the variety of different people you can see on a regular basis is crazy. You're going to have some crossover for sure, you know, but you're going to get unique, you know, folks that like, this is the only place I go to. So I'm playing trivia here. You know, they have their favorite spot. And like, it's crazy. The people that you'll meet and the little nuance between different groups of friends is hilarious, you know?
Correct. And I try to mingle all night long or go to some people and talk to different tables and run around. And I mean, so we all run different situations. Like I know you allow them to bring their own devices.
Oh yeah.
I do too, but I bring with me 20, 25 tablets just to have. And I think I've kind of just grown people to want them. So I just use them and it kind of, I don't know. I mean, everyone has their own system. I mean, I'll tell you the big change for like me, and I think you're the same route right now, is the Ruckus router has made a huge difference in not having to deal with anything.
I agree with that, man, for sure. And actually, you make a good point. Let's shift gears from talking shop. We'll go over to host corner right here. Yeah, this is where the speed quizzing hosts that are tuning into the show and getting some information, you guys are going to get some real good info here. So what Bill's talking about here is the Ruckus router I had changed to like I was very much protesting this from the beginning. I'm like, why do we need to introduce a new router? The one we're using is just fine. It's no problems. And Bill was like twisting my arm. He's like, you gotta do it. You gotta try this and know like what's up. Because more and more people are getting into these and you at least have to know how they work. And holy shit, Bill, you were right. You were right.
It's just that it's a workhorse, man. It
Yeah.
just does it all for you, and it can definitely hold more connections. It can
100%.
it can hold its own. It's wireless mesh. So like with the black and the yellow hubs that we had forever, when they still have the black hubs,
Mhm.
when I create a secondary like an extension or a repeater, now that extension or repeater has an R or an E on it, but
Mhm.
still quiz. But like people like, which one do I connect to? The Ruckus just does it for you. Like it's 5G and 2G, 2.4G. I mean, 5G is great for up close, but I mean, if you got to travel 100 feet, 5G is not really exactly the
Mhm.
monster it needs to be. But it just eliminated so many issues. Like I was having issues with, and I think it was just Apple. I mean, well, I'm gonna say it every time. Apple adds all this stuff into their phones, and then like or to iPads that I
Mhm.
had Apples that just hated repeaters.
Yep.
Like they would constantly drop off the repeaters.
Yeah.
Swap the Ruckus. Haven't had an issue with an iProduct since.
It's funny because like I haven't really had much of an issue with I haven't had a need to use repeaters at all. So my experience has been completely different. I've been using a single connection point, and I think for the black hubs, the original pocket hubs, those if you're using it in that situation, awesome. It'll definitely do the job that you need to. But the second you get into I'm getting into venues that I've never seen before. Just the ability to be prepared, I think, is huge with a Ruckus.
Correct. And I'm not saying everyone go out and buy the Ruckus. If
No,
you're doing
definitely not. Yeah.
if you're doing a small bar, small restaurant with 10, 12 teams a week,
Not
And
even not even a small bar. If you're
Yeah.
doing a single large room with a
Yeah.
maximum of about 25 teams, great.
you can get away with it.
You can.
It's the odd shapes. That's the reason why we kind of brought it on.
Yeah.
It's the weird rooms. It's the long, odd shaped rooms. A lot of the guys in the UK were having problems in Ireland and Scotland and everywhere, I guess, where all these old brick buildings and they're all chopped up into little sections. So they need to get signal everywhere.
Yeah. They've got like a room, a variety of small rooms instead of one big open space.
So you kind of had to
Yeah.
go around. And that's where some of my venues are like. My Tuesday night is technically like 3 very large rooms that
Yep.
I can span with 2 Ruckuses. And then my Thursday night that just closed, the building was just like a bowling alley. I was on the
Mhm.
opposite end and I needed to get to the back end. I would run
Yeah.
the black hubs. I just ran into small problems with had to run repeaters or this, that, and the other thing. But
Yep.
and it just did a lot of the heavy lifting. I don't have to change channels. I don't have to do this,
That's
that, and
the
the other
biggest
thing.
one. Yeah, because there's a lot of
Right.
people when they experience Wi-Fi dropout, and I'll paint the picture for you guys what Wi-Fi dropout looks like. You're in the middle of your game, you're asking a question, and every single device drops out. That's what Wi-Fi interference is going to look like. If it's like 3 out of your 30 devices that are connected dropped out, that is probably not a Wi-Fi interference problem, and it'll pass. Like it'll
And it could-
eventually
that
clear up.
That could be a Wi-Fi interference, though. If you can pinpoint that those 3 teams are in the same location,
Yeah, that's the thing.
something could have happened there. But
It
if they're
would have
all
had
over,
to been
if one's
so
over here,
small.
one's over
Yeah.
there, one's over there,
Yeah.
that's just randomly anything.
And most of the
Um,
time, that's what you're going to run into because it's not going to be the same team or spots all the time next to one another. I had an instance where, well, I'll back up. I actually talked about it in the last episode where I had 2 teams that were the furthest away from me using a single Ruckus, and they were like, "Oh, we're not able to connect," and they were getting an error that would pop up on their phone. I was like, just keep trying. And that's when I gave the tip. Like I saw the guy like closing a bunch of apps on his phone, and I'm like, bingo. I'm like,
Yeah.
that could be a big part of your problem right there.
Yeah,
Um,
close that window you opened up in 2021. That
It's
or
amazing.
they'll go on their their phones are being maxed out. It's the same thing when
Yeah.
people say my phone's slow, and I go, then you go into their Chrome or Safari browser, and there's 400 tabs open.
Every
it's like,
single
well,
app they've
close
ever
'em.
downloaded since they bought that device is open. You know?
Correct. Well,
Yeah.
they did, yeah. I mean, when was the last time you turned it off?
Yeah.
Supposed to turn it off. I restart
It-
mine all the time.
Yeah, a restart is a good thing for your phone. But like you're right. Like there's instances where having, additional connection points around there, and the real workaround is the Ruckus as a mesh point. There's no change in the name. It seamlessly goes to whichever is strongest, and it's
For them.
it is the move. It really is, and it's very much like if you're experiencing Wi-Fi interference, the Ruckus is almost like it's almost like A-Track in a Toyota, where it's just
Correct.
like, it's like, nope, we're gonna handle this for you.
Yeah.
Sit back, dummy. We're gonna do it.
And it's just like the Ruckus are just they're enterprise routers. So these are routers we buy that are they are used. They come from like a college who had them installed for 5 years and or
Needed
4
to
years,
spend
depending
money.
and they need to spend money, so they go buy new
Yeah.
ones. And these are how these guys are creating these very large local networks at their colleges and on campuses.
Mhm.
And we're just buying them after and then resetting them up for everybody. And
Yep.
I mean, these like routers are $300 or $400 a piece, brand new. But we're selling them for cheaper. But we're just kind of it solves a problem that some of these guys like. It really came down to it that there were guys in the UK and Scotland and Ireland and stuff like that were getting like 100 and 150 people in a bar.
Oh yeah,
trying to play, but it's a different monster than the US. US is 100. That would be like 100 teams or 4. These guys over there, everyone plays. A lot of people play by themselves.
Most people play by themselves. I'm noticing a change here though too, where I'll have a team, a table of like 4 people, and it'll be 3 teams. Like the 3 people that are all really into playing, and then like that friend that just hangs out just to drink, will just kind of sit there and throw out an answer every once in a while. And I find that there can be a little bit of conflict with that if you were running like a super serious game or something.
That's the problem too. I don't try to run. I'm not here to be Alex Trebek. This is Jeopardy.
Yeah.
And I just want you to come back next week and play again, but just have goofy time. I mean, silliness. I like to add as much silliness to the game as possible without being like Morning Zoo. I don't want Morning Zoo. Welcome to the trivia game, everybody. I don't want that.
It's wild too, because the players that like some people do they just take it very seriously, and which is fine. That's okay. And that's part of the reason why I try to keep the value of the prizes as low as possible. Like I'm probably due for an increase right now because the economy is so different. And let's be honest, a $15 gift card doesn't do what a $15 gift card did a decade ago. I usually tell most of my establishments I work with to budget $30 a week for prizes, a $15, a $10, and a $5 gift card, because it's supposed to be a loss leader. That's the idea. And I have one of my venues that wants to try to, and I think they're trying to compete with another venue in the same town that hosts a different speed quizzing game. They're doing like a $50 gift card. And I'm like, number one, that gets way too competitive. But number two, people are really going to start to be like, oh, well, we missed out on these because we missed this question. And that was bullshit because of whatever. Or, we got a bitch tax or something. Or somebody fast tracked and stole that from us. And it's just like, I'm against having high value gift cards for, or prizes that are just too large.
And sure, you can add a $50 gift card.
Yep.
It's going to pick up a few extra, maybe an extra team or 2 that everyone knows about it.
Yep.
But 90% of the people go to the trivia games they go to mostly because for the fun and because of the person that's running it.
Oh yeah, definitely for the person.
They follow the person that's running it. I mean, so it's like, I have teams that have never won a game in 10 years.
Yeah.
They're there every week.
Every single week. And it's funny you say that, man, about them showing up for the person that's there. So I had a recent situation, probably within the last like 3 or 4 months, where a team that was playing was, you know, they were doing okay, but they were in a room of people who had been playing for a long time with me, and I was like, they know all the rules and everything, and I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that they understand that, like in the buzzing round, you can lose points, things like that. So I touch base with them, and it's just like, this is awesome. We're having such a good time, you know. We used to host speed quizzing, and I was like, oh, really? And I guess they tried to host it on their end, and they were like, oh, but like, how do you do, like, there was no support. We didn't get any support for this. Like, we didn't, you know, we couldn't figure it out. And a lot of it, I think, came to what they were asking questions about. It didn't have anything to do with speed quizzing. It was like the turtle races. It was Drinko. It was all that side stuff. And I remember telling him, I was like, guys, that's not a speed quizzing thing. That's like the host. I'm like, I do Drinko and I do, you know, like speed bingo. Yeah, I can help you with that. That's in speed quizzing, you know, it's not a side game. And I'm like, you know, there's a lot of people who I think purchase the router and they buy some credits and they start hosting speed quizzing, thinking that it's almost, I'll use another example. Somebody goes out and buys Serato and a DJ controller and a laptop, and it looks at, like, you know, the developers of all that technology, and they're like,
How come I'm not Tiesto?
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, there's a certain level of, dare I say, talent, or personality, or all these things actually together. I mean, you know, there are people out there who just don't like me, and that's fine. You know, like, they don't have to come out and play my games necessarily, but there are people who think that I am just I am their favorite source of entertainment. You know what I mean? I think that those people are a little bit crazy, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But there are people that enjoy what it is that I do on a regular basis. Just like, Bill, there are people who enjoy what you do on a regular basis.
Right. And that's what it comes down to. It's like everyone likes different things. Some people like sci-fi movies. Some people like dramas.
Yep.
Some people like Dave Chappelle. Some people like Amy Schumer. You know what I mean? It's just,
some people like pornography. Some people like cocaine. Some people like both.
Yeah. Correct. But you know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's all, and you're going to build your people. And going back to the whole thing back in the day when people were like, well, I run paper and I think I'm going to lose a bunch of people. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to lose people. You're going to lose people, and then you're going to gain a lot more.
Way more. Yeah. You're going to lose the ones who are there to pretty much just cheat. Everybody gets the same score. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
They're not really, you know what I
Don't
mean?
be afraid to, don't be afraid to lose a handful of people or whatever, a couple teams.
Yep.
That were probably a pain in the ass anyways.
But you were afraid to lose them because they were really all that you had. Yeah.
And
That's
now,
a good point.
and you're going to find more people going to show up. I mean, you get people every week that show up. I mean, if you're filling the room with the same people every week, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
At this point.
It's true. It's definitely true. And, you know, I don't know if you've experienced this, Bill, but have you seen somebody who was at one of your events that wasn't playing, but at the end of the night was like, that was so entertaining?
Yeah. I get them all the time. Like, or I mean, you know, I get random people who are just sitting at the bar. Well, like, they want to walk by when you're leaving. Good game. And did you even play? They want to give you knuckles or I have crowds that are just like want to show up, and they just show up and watch, or they'll show up and watch for a couple weeks and then start to try.
I see that happen all the time.
And it's just people come out for a little bit of hanging around, entertainment, and if you make it too dense, that's when you get them bored.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to keep it light, fun, and on to the next. I find
that's why
the most important thing.
That's why I think everyone kind of likes this platform. Everyone who really plays, sure, the paper trivia purists,
Yep.
who'll go, "This is not the type of game I want to be playing." Will stick around, won't stick around. But the people who just want to go have fun and joke
Mhm.
around and have fun, it's just two different monsters. Pick
Yeah.
the crowd you want to go for. If that's what you want, if you want that very serious, I want the brightest people, you can have them.
Yeah.
And the rest of us will just have a good time and play around. I mean, but I still have lots of really smart people at my games.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But they understand that this is just fun. But I'm like, and this is for everyone to come out and have fun on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, and I think,
That's the name of the game.
correct. And then you still get the people who are like, well, why would I know that? And I go, someone did. Did you
Yeah.
not notice?
That's all that matters.
Somebody knew the answer.
And I've been throwing this out there a lot, you know, when I talk to people who are interested in speed quizzing, and I go, I like to think of an entire event, an entire trivia night, as you need to have a wide array of like dynamics in your questions. So you've got things that are a little bit more challenging, and you've got things that are like painfully easy, and that's going to look like different things to different people in different regions, you know? Like I like to use it for the example, like a lot of the games that I do are in and around the Springfield, Massachusetts area, home of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Now, most of us that have grown up in this area have just been beaten over the head with facts about the Basketball Hall of Fame like crazy, you know, from various induction ceremonies to the history of the building, like Naismith himself, like all kinds of stuff. And, you know, for someone, I'll ask a question in Springfield about the Hall of Fame, and you know, it's like it's the easiest thing ever. But if you go to like Oklahoma, they might not have any idea. Hell, you could go to like go to Maine. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the same thing. I get Fenway questions. Sure, we're gonna know them.
Sure,
but somebody in Seattle might not.
Yeah, 100%. They might not have no idea.
And I still have people who don't know what it is, and they're even from here.
Yeah, well, that's adorable.
But that, you know what I mean? It's things in your area are going to be different.
And you know, it's funny. Like, it's one thing. I know a lot of hosts think like, oh, I want to make sure that everybody can get these questions. You know, there's a lot of community and people realizing how dumb they really are. You know what I mean? When you have 100 people in a room and you ask a question and it makes like 70% of the room go like, huh. Then like there's community building there. Like they're like, okay, I'm not the only one. When I say something like, when I ask a question and I go, oh, only 3 out of the 30 teams got this right. It's like, don't worry, you guys are amongst your own. You know, but who knows? This could have been, was it a multiple choice question? These 3 people could have just gotten lucky, you know, that can happen, you know,
and that's the same thing we were talking about. Like, it's always nice. This is why I I edit stuff for myself sometimes.
Yeah. Yep.
But like adding funny answers.
Oh yeah.
To questions. Like, just it's multiple choice, all right, guys? So you don't need to have everything that's real as your answer.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's just meant to either get a laugh or like if it's a difficult question, sometimes it's meant to kind of aim you in the direction, you know?
Correct. And that's what I've added. I just add weird, funny answers to stuff. And I don't know if it's just me. I'm sure other people do it, but I love a funny little answer as an option, and it gets a laugh, and then they move on, and we're ready to the next one.
Yeah,
I'm trying to see if I had one here.
It's funny how like you'll see hosts, because it's one of the things that we get asked about often are the quiz packs that are supplied, because you know, speed quizzing does supply you with content, that
Uh-huh.
you can use any way you want. You could use it as a starting base. I use it as is, intentionally. When I say that to people, like, it is with intention, because I want to show what the brand can do.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've never been criticized about my content at all by any players ever. And I'm not really I'm in Massachusetts, but I am 2 hours west of the Boston area. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in like a crazy cultural mecca. We have a really good, nice, even slice. If you look at the cross section of how clever or intelligent or whatever you want to say, we have a good mix. We have some people that are really clever. And I like to tell folks all the time, you never know what people know or don't know until you ask. So have a little bit of confidence and just read the question and utilize the content as a starting ground.
Yeah. Like, I asked one, I did like a holiday toys round. In 92, in what 92 film did this toy make its debut? And it was the deluxe Talk Boy from Home Alone 2.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And my 4 options were like Home Alone 2, Home Alone 3, or Single Moms Home Alone. And I make it super creepy just to be like, not just, or the original name of the Rubik's Cube. Was it the Hungarian Magic Cube, the Tibetan Cube Puzzle, the American Cubi, or the Brazilian Brainbuster? Those just silliness.
Yeah.
There's only one of those is real. Everyone's like, I hope it's American Cubi.
Oh yeah, it's
a
definitely
Hungarian Magic Cube or whatever. But yeah,
Yep.
so I mean, just adding a little bit of. Oh, I'm locked up for a second. I don't know where you went.
Oh, it's all good.
But anything to make it, to lighten it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. You just got to keep it fun. That's the name of the game. And I've been over the last few years when I we'll see people at the end of the night. They're like, this was great. Or they'll have a comment about a question or about something. And I'll tell them, I'll be like, did you have fun? And that they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. I was like, yeah. Then I did my job. That's all I'm looking to do, is just make sure that you guys are having fun. That's the idea. The one thing that I will say about a trivia night, and it was one of my players that kind of brought this to my attention, is at first I was like, I'm giving people something to do. You know what I mean? The weeknights can suck. Like, I'm going and they're like, oh yeah, cool. We're going to meet with our friends. We're going to have some drinks. We're going to have some camaraderie. It's cool and whatever. But they're like, no. It's really like building community. Like, there are people who are really into this. And I would say there's probably about like 25% of the players who play follow me from venue to venue. Maybe even a little bit higher than that. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. Maybe it's more like 30 or 35. But there's a good chunk of people that follow me from spot to spot. And I find that, like, that's the biggest what do you call it? That's the biggest sort of like plug for what we do, because you are building community. And when you do that in local businesses, in places where people gather and eat and drink and bullshit, like that's a big deal. It really is.
Correct.
So, man, this is really, really good. Is there anything else that you want to kind of go over, Bill, before this one, or do you want to kind of save something for another episode?
We'll probably save something for another one. I don't think I really have anything else.
Yeah, I'm not against that.
I'm sure I will.
I hope you guys had a good one. I think, is it next episode on the calendar? I have a heads up trivia showdown with a couple of my regulars. So that'll be coming up. I think we're actually recording it next week. So it might be in the next episode, to tell you the truth. Let's take a quick look at the calendar and find out what we have here. No, it looks like it's gonna be close. Might be the week after that, but hoping all that goes well. If you are one of my regular players and you're interested in being on the show, either to just sit and banter back and forth like this, or if you want to go and call out another team and do a little heads up showdown, get in touch with me at one of my events, something like that. I also have details about the Battle of the Tofu Curtain. That's coming up. Tickets will be available shortly, and they'll also not just be available online. You'll be able to get them at any of my trivia events that go on during the week. So we'll see you. Bill, why don't you go ahead and plug your shows that you have coming up?
I only have one. New
Okay.
Year's Eve, my Pat's Pizza one in Wyndham. And then
Nice.
after that, my country club is the other one, which you have to have a membership.
You have to be a
So-
member. Oh, you never know. They might listen to the 10
Yes.
second podcast.
Yeah. Reminds me of Caddyshack. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But
I freaking love it.
All right.
I love
That's
it.
it.
If you guys have any questions, reach out. I did put together some fancy credits, so we're going to go ahead and play that for you right now.